Yo, what's good everyone? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I have made a Wraith guide for you. This video has been requested a ton since I've been making videos, and I told y'all I would do it once I hit YouTube Partner, which I just did the other day. So thank you all so much for your support, and I hope you enjoy the video. Alright, so the way I'm going to do this video is I am going to give you some clips, and I'm going to talk over them, and I'm going to show you exactly how you should be using Wraith in a bunch of different scenarios. I didn't just want to go in the firing range and give you a bunch of general things because I feel like that's kind of boring. I want to show you live examples of what you need to do in order to be successful with her. If anyone's new and isn't already subscribed, I hope you will subscribe after watching this video so you don't miss out on my next upload. And if you enjoy this video, please be sure to slap a like on it because it does help the video. Alright, one of the main things I want to mention is that Wraith will probably be getting a nerf in Season 8. So for anybody who is going to see this video in Season 8, some things may have changed. Ultimately, I'm assuming they're going to change her hitbox. I think they're going to make it bigger, but we'll see what happens. They haven't mentioned anything about altering her kit at all, so we'll see what happens. More will be revealed. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about is Wraith's phase, which is her tactical. Alright, it's a 25-second cooldown on her tactical, unless you have gold helmet, obviously. It takes 1.25 seconds for you to activate the Phasewalk. That means the animation that Wraith does with her fingers that she puts up in the air. She gets a 30% speed increase when she's in her phase, and it lasts for 4 seconds. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can use this, but Respawn's idea was to make it much less of a get-out-of-jail-free card and more of a repositioning tactic. And I think it's a better phase than it was before because I think you get more out of it. But I'm going to show you a few different examples of how you can use her phase. Now, you'll see in this previous clip how I phased before I started taking a lot of damage. They almost cracked my armor, so I repositioned and I took high ground to assist my teammate. If you're going to phase out, it's important to communicate that with your teammates, so that they're not stuck overextended. See, Wraith can do that. She can overextend herself because of her abilities. But it's important to know your limitations and know how much time you're allotted and able to get the phase off. Because a lot of times you can die in your phase trying to get the phase off, in other words. There's another tactic that I'm going to show you here where I end up phasing into this enemy. And I do that because this rampart is holding an angle on me behind her amped cover, and so that I know if I phase to this box, I will be able to have high ground on her and I have some cover on it, and that's going to give me a better position than trying to run up in front of her amped cover and try to fight her that way. So this is a very aggressive tactic, and I don't recommend doing it all the time. It's very, very situational because you really have to bet on the fact that you're going to win the fight. You're not going to get your phase back, so you have to be pretty sure that what you're going to be doing is going to end up making you win the fight. So you could do it if you're going up a zip line, if somebody's holding that angle. You could do it in a few different ways. Now, I always like to think of using Wraith's phase as more of a repositioning tactic and turning on my enemy a lot of the times. So you'll see in this clip, my teammate gets knocked here. I look to help, but I get annihilated. So I phase. I'm going to go up the zip line. That way I'm going to reposition, and I know this Wraith is chasing me. So I'm going to turn on her, and it's kind of a do or die. Like, I'm lucky I hit a good shot and she slid into it, but still, that was my goal, was to hit her for a lot with the Mastiff because I knew she would chase. So you've really got to think about when you phase, anticipate somebody following you so that you can use it to get behind some cover and turn on your enemy. If you just use it to try to escape and just try to run away, well, sometimes it will work, but if they're chasing you and they have a jump start or they're not going to be too far behind you, when you come out of your phase, if you're just running in the open, they'll just shoot you in your back for free. So always be trying to assess the situation and figure out if you can reposition and turn on your enemy. Now, another tactic here, which is what I was kind of explaining before. Now, keep in mind, when I play pubs, I play with random, so there's really no communication. But you'll see here, I almost crack this guy. He cracks me. I push up. Then I see his teammates are there. So I'm going to phase behind cover. I'm going to make sure I get the phase off. And then I'm going to back down here. Now, typically my teammates could play off that damage, but I didn't do a ton of damage. So I kind of left them in a bad spot because it's a lifeline and a Bangalore. So they could be very well overextended. And they do end up really coming in clutch here. The Bangalore goes down, the lifeline runs into res, and so I'm going to swing around on the right side to take an alternate angle. Now, this isn't the best clip by any means, but what I really wanted to show you from the clip is that if you phase out when your teammates are trailing you, they might walk into a situation that they're really not apt to win. Now, anytime 2 or 3 enemies swing out on you and you feel like you're alone, that's a good opportunity to use your phase, like I just did in this clip. I saw that at least 2 were trying to come in that door, and I didn't really like the angle. So I phased back, avoided taking more damage. I'm going to heal, then I'm going to spam nades and get back into the fight. It's way better to use your phase early than die using it too late. Another thing is when I play solo pubs, it's important for me that I'm usually the last person to die on my team. I never want to rely on randoms to try to clutch a fight, and you just also never know when you're going to get third-partied, like we did instantly in this video. So a couple other things that I'm going to mention about Wraith. Her hitbox, along with lifelines, are currently the smallest in the game. They both do have low profile, which means they take 5% more damage for having the smaller hitbox. I think it makes sense that Wraith has this feature, but the fact that she does have the smallest hitbox makes her movement feel really smooth. Now, all the legends move at the same pace, but they all have different animations. And I can tell you, in my opinion, and I believe in a lot of others, that Wraith's movement feels the smoothest. It also makes things like wall bouncing really easy to do with her. Now, some general principles when you're playing as Wraith. Let's say you're playing in more of like a ranked scenario. When you're playing as Wraith, it's important that you're like the point guard of the team. You need to be assessing where you can move your team, what sort of fights you should be taking, what sort of things you should be avoiding, because your abilities allow for you to be the scout. Because let's say you can be overextended and then you can phase back. You can be looking for open areas to play if you have to rotate. You can be looking where teams are potentially holding areas. The other thing is that you can be looking, where you could possibly portal to, which is my segue into the next part of this video, talking about Wraith's portal. And I'm going to cover a lot of different things with that. Now, they've nerfed her portal a bunch over the past few seasons. So right now it's pretty weak. All right. It can only go up to 75 meters and the cooldown on it is pretty long. The cooldown is 3.5 minutes to be exact. All right. So here's a little trick. We see this horizontal. We see that we're trying to get pushed from this team in the cut. Then we see a team behind. So I portal instantly and then I get my phase instantly. I don't have to wait the 1.25 seconds animation. I just get behind this third team instead of being in between 2 teams. Now, unfortunately, my teammate dies, but I am able to win this 1v2. Now, why this is important is because if I'm in a situation where I need to get an instant phase and an instant reposition, then doing the portal instantly, then phasing is a much more efficient way to go about this. Now, a couple other things about Wraith's portal that you should know is at 29%, that's when your portal will go away. It also will only last 60 seconds. The other thing is when you're using Wraith's Rift energy, in order to get your full phase, the full 4 seconds of the phase, I never use the phase after 40%. I always use it before that, so I get the full phase. The only time I would ever do that is if the end of the portal was in a very vulnerable position. So some people that may be confusing, but if you want to get your full phase off, do it before your portal reaches 40%. So 60 to 50 is a really good sweet spot. By the time if you're going to keep moving, by the time you complete the portal, you'll get a full phase for the second half of the portal, essentially, making you an impossible target to hit. Now, this was a basic portal, but it repositioned us pretty easy. Now, in this clip, I'm going to show you how to kidnap somebody. Now, there's a lot of different variations of how you can go about kidnapping somebody with Wraith's portal. And in this clip, I ended up doing it to Fun FPS. And my audio was scuffed, so I ended up taking the clip from his VOD. Now, the way you do this is that you phase into one of the opponents and they kind of just walk into the portal, because as you're phasing into them, you let go and you set the portal and they'll either be placed into it or they'll take a step from their momentum and they'll end up in the portal. Now, this was a more aggressive sort of kidnap because I took him out of the fight and it gave me and my teammates an opportunity to 3v2 his team, because by the time he came back through, it was just him alive. Now, this is a very advanced sort of trick that will take time in order to accomplish, and you need teammates that you're communicating with in order for this to be a successful kidnap. Now in this clip here, I was a solo in a duos match. There are 2 other teams alive. So I'm scouting ahead. I pinged that rock to make sure it was under 75 meters so that my portal would reach it. And I started the portal, and I'm going to wait to place the portal. I want it to be placed late. That way, if I need to, I can take it back if the fighting gets too crazy. All right. So you can pause while you're in portal. You don't have to place it just because you've started it. And the other thing is that if your portal, if the entry and the exit are both placed in the ring, well, the portal will disappear in a couple seconds. So you have to make sure at least one end of the portal is not in the ring. Now, the only reason I would take it back is if the fighting got too hectic and I could take the portal back, phase, and then take the portal back into the zone. So then I could come back, but I would have bought some time and hopefully, the other 2 teams would have fought. Now, this wasn't how the game went down. I ended up just kind of wiping both the teams. But if you're in a ranked scenario where the end game rings are very sweaty, that's the sort of plays you need to make. And Wraith needs to make those decisions. Wraith needs to be the scout, as I mentioned before. She needs to be looking at what is available to play. Can her portal reach it? Is it good for my team to play this angle? All of these things, if you are going to take the role on as Wraith, you need to be looking at those scenarios and be evaluating what is good to play and what isn't. It can't be made for you. Because if the decisions are being made for you, then you probably shouldn't be playing Wraith. Your teammates probably have a better idea of how to navigate you and your teammates, if that makes sense. You have to be the alpha. It's common for Wraiths to be the IGL, which is the in-game leader, because they know what to call and they know where to get their teammates. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to slap a like on it. And if you're new, I would appreciate you consider subscribing. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you were able to learn a few tips and tricks about Wraith, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Peace.
Guess I'm the new kill leader. 30 seconds. Patching myself up.